Good morning. Good morning. I forgot to press Instagram, so I'm just going live on Instagram as well at the same time. Good morning, everyone. It's Elisa James, holistic voice coach, and it's another Q&A Wednesday. That means your questions are going to be answered in this live. And today we're talking about feminine voice. What does that mean? Stick around if you want to know and understand what feminine voice means to most people, and also how to add that little bit of a feminine touch when you speak. So if you identify as a female, if that's something that you want to sound like as well, then stick around because it's all about feminine voice today. My name is Elisa James, trying to get my mouth working here. It's early in the morning on Wednesday morning in Australia. I am a holistic voice and presentation coach, and I'm here to help you and answer any questions that you have around the voice. Now, on my YouTube channel, which is called The Voice of Confidence TV, every single week I check out all of those comments to find out what people are struggling with. And funnily enough, even though I've done 60 or more videos, pre-recorded content videos answering your questions, this question is a little pressing. How do I make my voice sound more feminine? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you the reasons why you probably don't sound feminine enough for your satisfaction first, and then I'm going to show you in 3 steps how to do that. Okay, so stick around. Let's go and see who is joining us live first. I'm going to go over to the comments here on Facebook. We are streaming live on my public figure page, which is called Elisa James Voice Coach, I think. If you're watching this on Facebook, you know where you are. And if you're watching this on Instagram, hello to my Instagram fans over there. And also hello to the Voice of Confidence TV over in YouTube. Now, every single Wednesday, I check out my YouTube comments and we can see here. Oh, Chris is joining us from Belgium. Hi, Chris. It's nice to see you here. Looking forward to seeing you in class tomorrow. Awesome. You are so amazing. And good morning, beautiful Ice. It's lovely to see you here as well. Super excited about the topic. That's good. Hi, Issa too. I'm not sure where you're from, but let us know what your name is and where you're tuning in from, especially if you're on YouTube. I love to support my YouTube fans because this is all about answering the questions in YouTube. And today it's how to make your voice sound more feminine. Now, one of my students, this is why I'm doing this post today. One of my students complained to me a few months ago that she sounded like a bitch on wheels. Who wants to sound like a bitch on wheels? Look, and the thing is that she is a very experienced and educated business coach, but people perceive her to be a bitch on wheels when she speaks. It's mostly because of the very rough, gruff, forced tone that she's using. Now, the thing is that perception is everything. This is the problem. So if people are perceiving her to be a bitch on wheels and avoid her because of that fact, that's the biggest issue she's got at hand. Excuse me. But the truth of the matter is that she's not a bitch on wheels. She's further from that. She's a lovely, lovely lady and a brilliant coach. So if you're having a little trouble with the perception of your audience, let's change that today, because perception is everything. Now, my big goal for all of my clients and students worldwide is this. Let's create more bridges between two humans instead of building walls. Bridges instead of walls. So we can do that by the sound of our voice and the way that we speak. Let's dive straight in. So what are these reasons for the harsh sound? We're going to look at that first. Fantastic. Oh, we're just going to jump over to the comments for a second. Nice to see you. You're watching from Sierra Leone. Fantastic. And he's been watching the channel. I've been watching our videos and doing some practice. Fantastic. Good on you. That's the whole idea. Learn, implement. Learn, implement. Implementation without, knowledge without implementation is nothing. It's just going to sit up here. We actually need to do. And I tell all of my students, the magic is in the doing. It is. So let's do some stuff together. First things first, what is the reason for the harsh sound? It's this. Number one, pressed phonation. Now, I know that for a lot of people who are not voice people, like singers, actors, speakers like me, who've not trained in voice, you might not know what pressed phonation is. So let me just give you a little understanding of that. When you hear somebody with pressed phonation, it means that their vocal folds are squeezing too hard. When you try that with me, you know, when you're picking up something heavy, we tend to pressurize the thorax cavity, which is where we hold the air. And then we close all the apertures at the bottom so we don't pee ourselves. And we also close the aperture at the top, which lets the air flow out. So now we have a pressurized cavity and pressed together phonation. Now, all that means is that you're stopping the air from flowing properly. When we have a pressed phonation, it's just too much tension. And most people will have too much throat tension as well as too much vocal fold tension. This is the biggest problem that I see in my A-type personalities. So if you are a high-end speaker, for instance, one of my motivational speakers that are on stage in front of thousands of people, a lot of the time when they try too hard and they have a high bar of expectation, they push their voice too hard like that. And you'll find that a lot of males do that. Now, my very superpowered high performance females also do that because they're trying to compete with their male counterparts. But here's the thing. You can be beautiful and feminine and strong and confident and not sound like a guy. It's not necessary. If you want to be a woman in leadership, a woman in business, then sound like a woman. There's nothing wrong with sounding like a woman. If you're confident, if you're calm, if you're using the right sound of voice, you're going to stand up there with those guys and absolutely compete well. You do not have to sound like a guy. So drop that whole idea. We're different people and it's okay. It's okay. Sorry, I just had a haircut trying to keep the hair out of my face. Number one is press phonation. So please watch yourself and try not to create that tension. I'm going to give you an exercise shortly how to get rid of that. Next thing is incorrect pitch. When you're using press phonation, a lot of the time people also use an incorrect pitch. An incorrect pitch is right down here and way too low in the throat. So now I'm doing pressed phonation with tension and a low pitch at the same time to create that gravelly, harsh sound. Not at all attractive. And you know what? It doesn't feel good either. It actually feels very, very uncomfortable. And we don't want to be uncomfortable when we speak. A lot of my clients are speaking for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, especially when they're holding massive events. You cannot do that to your beautiful vocal instrument if you've got to speak for a long time. If you blow out your voice, what are you going to do the next day when you're supposed to be coaching or you're supposed to be on video? Without your best asset in business, you don't have a business. Sorry, but that's the truth. If you don't look after your best asset, which is your communication instrument, then it's very hard for us to have good relationships because it's all about communication. And it's very hard for us to do business because unfortunately that is also about communication. Now, let's move on. So we've got phonation, pressed phonation is bad, and incorrect pitch is also bad. Next is unbalanced airflow. When we have, and this is all related, of course, when we have unbalanced airflow, it means that you're probably using too little airflow and holding the airflow back like I'm doing right now. Now, I can do that in any pitch whatsoever, but you can feel how it sort of sounds a bit tight and sounds a bit awful. And that's because I'm not letting enough airflow through. Tight sound with tension, incorrect pitch, and incorrect airflow is going to be a nightmare for your voice. And not even to mention, the walls and the bridges that I talked about before. What we're trying to do when we're speaking with other people is to connect, right? It doesn't matter what you do. If you're selling products, if you're coaching somebody, if you're inspiring somebody, it's all about connection to another human being. So if you want to connect in a much deeper, heartfelt way, then listen up and do the work. Let's go through. Now, I've got to be very quick today because I have an appointment in 10 minutes. So I'm going to Speedy Gonzalez through you this content today. Let's go. Number 1, this is how you get it fixed. If you have just joined us live, this is all about how to sound more feminine, and it's not what you think. Elisa James, Holistic Voice Coach here. Make sure you join in the fun and post below any questions that you have and whether you found this training interesting and helpful. Number 1, open the throat and relax. Okay, we're going to do a little game together. I want you to drop the jaw and dip the tongue. Because if you drop your jaw and don't dip the tongue, you don't have enough space in your mouth. See how my tongue is low and flat? And then we're going to sigh from high note to low note with a really relaxed sound. Everybody do this with me. You ready? Open throat. Ah. Now you should feel and hear airflow and sound. If you don't hear airflow and sound, you might just hear, sound like this. Ah, that's pressed phonation with unbalanced airflow and a back placement. You don't want to do that. You don't want to sound like a strangled cat. We want to sound relaxed. So let's open the throat and relax one more time. Ready? Open throat. Ah. Now let's go higher and lower. So we're warming up the voice at the same time. Open throat. Ah. Now you can hear that there's sound and air. Remember, no air or less air is tight, very uncomfortable, and not sounding good. We need to sound very relaxed. Let's do it one more time together. Ah. So now you should feel your throat opening and all those tension muscles here in the throat releasing and relaxing. Now let's just try it on an R and an E sound together. Ready? Let's put an M in front of it to give the forward resonance at the same time. Now let's do it with an E. Me. Now you should feel no tension. You should feel airflow and sound even and be able to go from high to low, no problem. That's what we want to do. Now that releases the tension in your throat. When you're speaking, you need to have an absence of tension in the throat. So check in with yourself and make sure that's what you're creating. Number 2 is adding a little more airflow. Now let's try it with a very simple sentence. Let's do around the rugged rock, a ragged rascal ran. This has been used in speech therapy and speech production for hundreds of years, purely because there's lots of R-shaped vowels and open vowels in this sentence. Let's have a look at it together. Around, see big open space, the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. See the R's and R and A? That gives you a very open throat possibility here. If I'm doing this wrong, again, we're going to look at pitch in a moment, but if we're doing this wrong with too much tension, it sounds like this. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. That's low tension and pressed phonation. Wrong pitch. This is high with less air. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. If we're doing any of those, it does not sound attractive. It does not sound feminine, and it certainly is not relaxing for your voice. Now, we're looking at 2 things here. I want everyone to pay attention to this. 2 things. One is, are we connecting with the other person because of the way we sound? Number 2, are we feeling good about the way we sound? So does it feel comfortable? Does it feel relaxed? Does it feel less tension here? That's what we're always looking for. How can I connect more with my audience? And how can I feel good about it at the same time? So the first one was making sure the throat is open. The second one is making sure that we add a little bit more airflow. So now let's try on a few different pitches a better airflow for you. Instead of around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Instead of that tight sound with pressed phonation, now open the throat. Imagine you're a Shakespearean actor and you've got to project that sound forward, but make it beautiful at the same time. Around, let me start again. That was pushed a little bit too much airflow. That's why you get a when you push too much airflow, you get a donkey kick or a break like that. We don't want to do that. Open throat. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Let's try it higher. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Higher. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Now I'm making an effort to put a little bit more airflow in so I don't sound like this. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Now I'm sort of holding back that airflow, which is great for belting or shouting, sure, but it's not necessarily going to create more immediate connection with somebody who's close to you. You don't want to shout at them and you don't want to bellow in their faces. Now, of course, we have to take into consideration who our audience is. If our audience is on camera, that's going to be different to standing on a stage at a Tony Robbins event with 9,000 people. You're going to use a bigger, more projected tone. But with the use of microphones these days, it's so beautiful to be able to use a mic or even a handheld or a headset. When you're using the mic more beautifully, you can finesse and tweak the sound as much as you can. Don't be afraid of microphones. Microphones are awesome. They can make your voice sound so much better. So let's go on to the last one. Raise the pitch. A lot of people who are watching me with some of my deep voice videos and voice improvements are people going through a sex change operation or a transvestite who wants to have a higher pitch or a more feminine sounding voice. So if you're identifying as a female, all of these things will really help you improve the sound and make it sound a little bit more softer and give it a feminine touch. Now, the last thing is pitch. A lot of people have a naturally low pitch and they sort of sit like this. But the question is it really natural? And is it good for you? If you've got a naturally low voice and it feels resonant and strong and it feels comfortable down there, by all means, don't change that. But if you're unhappy with the sound because it feels too low, guaranteed you've got tension or laziness, because this is really lazy voice. That's the opposite of tension. This is just lazy noise. It's called vocal fry. All of that happens when you've got either the wrong muscles involved or press phonation or the wrong pitch. So you can see that there's a lot of variables here that we're talking about. We talked about phonation, airflow, and now it's pitch. So now let's raise the pitch. See, I can easily do that. So now let's try Around the Rugged Rock again, but with a little forward placement and all different pitches. Let's try the lowest pitch together. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. That's okay. I can add a bit more airflow, but it doesn't sound as feminine as I would like. So now I'm going to lift the pitch. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. And at the same time as lifting the pitch, I added that little bit more airflow to make it sound more relaxed. This is more of a sound that people like to listen to for very long periods of time. If you want to be one of those speakers that people say, oh, I can listen to you all day, then add airflow. Add some airflow. I'm correcting people's voices all the time. Some people add too much. Some people add too little. It's like Goldilocks. You got to get it just right. And then it sounds beautiful. Let's do one more together, a little bit higher. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Now, if you're speaking with confidence, if you're speaking with brevity, you are still going to sound like a leader, because a feminine voice is not weak, my friends. It is not disempowered. A feminine voice can be strong and beautiful and magnetic and charismatic. And if you want to be like that, then pay attention to your voice. Your voice is the key to connecting with other human beings. This can change your life. That's why my very first course that I ever wrote, my mini course, is called Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. And this is just as pertinent today as it was 5 years ago when I created that course. When we change the way that we sound and the way we speak with other human beings, your life can change magnificently. And that is the reason that I do voice coaching. That is the reason that I am a voice and presentation coach and an on-camera confidence coach, is because I care about other people and I care about connection. We're all here to make the world a better place, I think. And I help people do that one voice and one message at a time. Let's go back to the comments, and then I've got to take off for my meeting, so I don't like to be late. Good morning. Serious question. How can you sound authoritative but not scary? I love this. Funny, where are you ticklish? Please answer. The ticklishing, well, that's a bit private, but on my sides, yes, I think a lot of people are ticklish. That's really, really funny. Thank you, Sarah, for piping in with that question. Yes, I'm ticklish. So ticklish, in fact. I used to have asthma attacks and panic attacks when my brother would tickle me too much. So a bit of trauma around my tickling. So I don't like to be tickled. Sorry, Sarah. And the last question is authoritative, but not scary. Absolutely. And here's the thing, Sarah, airflow is the key. When I had this thing on my YouTube channel, somebody got triggered by a strong voice that I was using. And when I dug deep into her comments, I realized that she was triggered because somebody in her family had an authoritative voice, but very booming and strong and critical and judgmental. There was a lot of other stuff that came with that voice. So yes, people can get triggered by an authoritative voice, and because it can sound a bit aggressive and scary. But when you add airflow, and when you add different pitches called prosody, musical inflections, then you are never going to sound scary. I can be really strong as much as I want to, and if I use a lot of prosody, lots of musical inflection, guess what? It's interesting and it's engaging. It's not scary at all. Scary is, you go to your room, young lady, now. Same pitch, pressed phonation, too loud, that's going to trigger people. When you want to use that tone, it's to keep people out of danger or to put them in their place when they need it, sure, but you don't need to do that all the time. Prosody, airflow, all of that is absolutely going to make your voice into a magical, beautiful instrument that you get to play every day. So I hope you absolutely enjoyed that. Yes, JC, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I'm so glad that you joined us today. I have to run. I am late. Shh, I've got to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you on Instagram. Thank you on Facebook. And thank you on the Voice of Confidence TV. If you have not, whoops, my camera's gone a bit fuzzy. Hello. I hate that. Don't you hate that? There you go. If you are watching this on replay, please just put your comments below. I cannot wait to see what they are, and I will help you in the next video. Remember, I answer questions every single week. So if you go to my YouTube channel, The Voice of Confidence TV, and post a question underneath this live video, I will answer your question next week on my live. My name is Elisa James, voice and presentation coach. I'll see you next time. Bye.